is November 25th, a Monday, a few days before Thanksgiving, and I haven't done one of these videos in a while, so excited to do a little bit of an update and maybe try to get the habit back going, but not too concerned about it, not that high of a priority, and I'll just continue to do these when I get the chance and when I think of it. Just dropped Oliver off to school, and it was a tough morning, to be honest. Definitely not the easiest. He was very upset when he woke up this morning and found out he had to put up with his dad instead of his mom. But after a while, gave him some almond milk and some donuts, and he became quite cooperative, and we had a good morning after that. Couple things that are newish. The first thing worth mentioning, actually I'm going to talk about three things I think over the course of today. I don't know if I'm going to finish on this particular drive. So I think the three things that I would like to talk about are, one, how the product stuff is going as we shift gears for 2020 and have changed what the application process looks like. So that's number one. Number two is Ming's 2020 planning, which was inspired by the 2020 planning that we put together for Reforge. And this level of detail in the planning is something that I stopped doing a while ago because it felt like it was too detailed, and ultimately I wasn't able to execute on all the ideas that I had. And I think it's a little bit different this year because of the way a few things. Number one, the way I do the planning and the way I think about work, and just my systems and processes and discipline in how I approach work has drastically changed since the last time I did this level of detail for planning. I think that number two, the idea that it's the planning, not the plan, and really embracing that mindset. Basically, that the important thing is to be intentional and to have hypotheses that you're trying to test, and you need to have ways to look back and see, it's not about whether you accomplished the goal, but how close were you to your hypotheses, and like what worked in the things that you're doing to try to get you to that goal. Otherwise, you want to get closer to the truth instead of just meandering blindly through the woods. So I want to talk about that for a little bit. And finally, number three, product 2020 planning, High Performance Habits. It's a book I've been reading by Brendon Burchard, and I finally finished it last evening. I need to spend about an hour going through my notes and putting together the list of takeaways, but I think that's the last thing that I will mention in this talk. Many things have changed from the fall 2019 application process into the spring 2020, and I think the major thing is we've changed how we're doing alumni, and we've extended out the window in which people can apply. So that leads to a lot of back-end changes that we need to put into place. Basically, alumni can pre-register for a program at any point now, and we had a bet. How many pre-registrations will we get in the first 48 hours? The over-under on this bet was 3.5, and I took the under, as did Rick, head of marketing. The engineers, Buford and Eddie, they took the over. And within the first 3 hours, we had 5 registrations, so Rick and I lost the bet quite badly. So that's a good sign. But the long and short of it is we're doing a lot of changes to the process, and I'm kind of owning all those different pieces. It is definitely going to be it's going to be good. We're taking a whole new team is basically coming on board, and they're going to own the whole application review, so that will be great in the long run. But in the short run, it's about improving the application process so that myself and Dan, we don't need to go in and help them with it, right? They should be able to manage it on their own. So that is what we are striving for. think that is it. Just a lot of work to do with it, honestly. I don't think I'll get a chance to go into detail on it right now, but that's going to take up a lot of time over the next month or so to get this all coordinated and set to go.
Oh, so nice.
Mama. Dada.
Yesterday I was talking about the 3 different topics that I wanted to cover that I've been working on lately, and I only got to one of them, so I'm going to pick it up here and talk about the other 2. So I believe we were talking about the review process, we were talking about 2020 planning, and we're talking about high performance habits, the book. And the next thing that I'll talk about is Ming 2020 planning. This was based on the 2020 planning that we were doing for Reforged, and I just really liked the framework that was put into place to cover planning for the next year. And I especially liked this idea that it's the planning, not the plan, meaning it's about the process of going through this and thinking things through. And just overall my maturity level when it comes to creating a plan, sticking to it, as well as understanding what are the short-term quantitative goals that I can measure, that I can use to measure against the plan. So I sat down and created 4 different verticals, I believe. So it was family, health, wealth, and projects. Those are the 4 categories. And for just thinking about different ways to quantify what I want to do with 2020, where I spent the most detail is on the side projects, and thinking about, okay, what do I want to do for the newsletter? What do I want to do for the blog? What do I want to do for this this other, like, Los Angeles, moving to LA, getting into Hollywood kind of newsletter that I want to start? And then finally, your Pickleball Club, the website on pickleball that I'm creating because I think there's an opening in terms of the SEO that could be done for that. Been working at this plan for the last few days, and that's the other realization, that it takes a while first to have this plan take shape. So it's okay that it occurs over multiple sessions, and then it's a year-long thing. Like, the plan is never really finished, and really what we're trying to do is have some baseline measurements to put into use. Doesn't need to be perfect, and then referring back to it each month to understand whether you're making progress against the goals that you've set, or whether you haven't, simply. That's been really helpful, and excited to see kind of how it shapes up and if it works as well as I hope it does, as a guardrail for keeping me on track on what I'm trying to accomplish this year.